This dude's gonna get hit by a train. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. Before we get started, we ask you to do a couple things to help us out. First, go to our Facebook page, like and share the Facebook page. After you do that, head on over to our Twitter account. Our Twitter handle is
@ComesNaturalPod.
And then when you follow us there, you head over to iTunes, rate the podcast, review the podcast, and subscribe to said podcast. That way it downloads for you automatically without having to do anything when it becomes available every Friday morning. Cody, what's our motherfucking name?
Comes naturally. We are
Joe.
Mike.
I am Cody. Welcome to this week's episode. Everybody, we're going to jump right into some fun stuff here. First, we're going to start with Mike.
Yeah.
Who's going to give us some wrestling news. Yeah. Or stuff, whatever you want to call it. Sex tapes. Yeah.
Different type of wrestling.
And go.
Sex tapes, man. All right, so here's the situation.
Testicle wrestling.
Oh.
Genital wrestling.
All right, so
internal organ wrestling.
A female wrestler by the name of Paige.
Oh.
Recently had her information or her phone or computer or whatever the fuck had her shit stolen and leaked online. And the contents of these leaks, and the reason it makes any news at all, is because nude pictures, for once, and multiple video clips of sexual activity.
Anybody of note that's in it, or can you tell who else is in it?
I have not watched it.
Is it just like dicks?
I haven't watched it because I don't think that's the right thing to do, is to watch it
until she releases it.
Yeah, like I had this conversation. If somebody had posed nude in the past and then nudes got leaked of them, I'll probably it's not gonna hurt my feelings to look at them. But this is a different situation as far as I know. Paige
because that's
never
privacy.
Yeah, Paige has never posed nude, and she's never done porn
for a publication
for money or to be released. So I won't go look at these things, but I did read about them so I can find out what the situation was on it.
Did you read in Braille?
No, the websites will explain what happened and stuff for people who don't want to actually look at it. So apparently someone hacked her shit, released a bunch of just pictures of nude selfies she sent to boyfriends and stuff in the past. Apparently this is from a couple years ago, because she's currently dating a dude named Alberto Del Rio, who's a former WWE wrestler and is a current wrestler, just not with the WWE. But she apparently used to date a guy named Brad Maddox, who's also a former WWE wrestler, who is not currently with the WWE anymore. So there's videos of her and Brad Maddox doing sex stuff. And then the weird one, though, is there's a video of Brad Maddox filming her and a gentleman by the name of Xavier Woods, who is prominently featured on TV Weekly currently.
He sounds like a porno actor, though.
Yeah.
Xavier Woods?
It's a pretty good name.
Yeah, he doesn't have to change shit.
But, so... It's interesting because a couple years ago, someone hacked Seth Rollins' thing, and there's a dick pic that he sent to one of his girlfriends at the time, and she got mad and released it on Twitter.
As one does.
WWE set a precedent then that if somebody steals property or in that situation leaks nudes that they didn't have anything to do with, they shouldn't be punished, which is the right move. They shouldn't be punished for someone stealing their shit. But what's interesting is the fact that this one features two
former
current, because Paige is still there, and Xavier Woods is still there. Paige has been off TV for a while because of injury rehab. But Xavier Woods is there weekly, and he's part of the New Day, which is one of the biggest draws that WWE has right now. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting because they're so prominently featured on WWE that there's been talk that if sponsors make a big stink, they might have some type of punishment towards them just to keep the sponsors off their ass.
Jeez.
So it's interesting. We don't know, but on Monday, WWE Raw, they addressed it kinda. Like they kinda ignored it, but addressed it a little bit in a pretty funny, creative way. The New Day, who part of the group that Xavier Woods is in, um, they're not competing at WrestleMania. They don't have any matches, but they're air quotes hosting it, so they're going to be prominently featured throughout WrestleMania, probably like backstage skits and promos, and
blah blah blah.
they'll probably get physical at some point in terms of a fight. At some point, you expect it, but so they cut away. So this past Monday is the first episode since all this stuff leaked out, and I think it was like last Thursday or Friday when all this stuff came out. So it's Xavier Woods in the middle, and he's looking very like he's getting scolded almost, and Kofi Kingston and Big E on his left and right, and they're both just staring at him like he did something wrong, and it's just silent for a second, and Big E goes, "So you got anything you want to tell us about?" like that, and Xavier Woods looks at him and goes, "WrestleMania," and they go into their promo about WrestleMania. So I was like, all right, so at least he's not getting kicked off of TV right away. So, but yeah, so interesting, pretty shitty that it happened, but it's also gonna be weird to see, because as far as I know, I don't know, I haven't really looked it up online, but I thought Paige was supposed to be back by now. So I don't know if this is gonna keep her out longer, or if she's just still out with the injury thing, or what her situation is with the company, but. Interesting.
Boom. Anything else?
Nope. Sex tape.
Sex tape. Not the movie, but the act. Joseph, got some science lay on us?
I do have
About
one
sex
thing
tapes?
about sex tapes, space sex tapes. No. The only thing I really have is during a recent inspection on March 19th of the Curiosity rover's wheels, it's starting to show signs of breakage.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's interesting because I didn't know this because I didn't look into what the wheels are made out of. They're made out of aluminum. I mean, it makes sense when you know that the weight of this rover is like 2 tons.
Yeah.
But it's just weird to think of these wheels being made out of solid aluminum.
They're pretty big too.
They're pretty big.
Not
Yeah.
bigger than I thought they were.
If you go to it's Universe Today, and the title is "Curiosity's Battered Wheels Show First Breaks," it's pretty intense. I'll show the guys here, so you can see
the treads and shit. Yeah.
Oh no,
Oh,
that's
more?
the before.
Oh, that's no bueno.
Yeah, starting to show pretty big signs of wear. And some of the bigger ones are on the actual tread themselves. It's actually broken off. So you see holes in the wheels, which is fine. You know, it's still wearing away. You're losing structural integrity. But if you wear those treads off, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, because that's how this thing moves along. And the rover is only about 60% through its
Planned.
planned life and where it's supposed to be going to. So hopefully it lasts. Well, that's about it.
SpaceX needs to make a space AAA. Send some replacement tires.
I wish. If only. There's a whole lot of other stuff that goes into all of that with the the president and whatnot and all that stupid shit, and NASA funding and
since NASA is a government-run agency.
Yeah.
In a way.
And
sort of.
It's looking like they're going to get their
budget cut again.
Again. It's really weird to think, like, how much do you think NASA's budget is?
I mean, you would think it's a lot, because, I mean, it's got to cost quite a bit to get stuff into space, but also just to maintain that is probably pretty hefty.
But you would think, like, it's because the national, let's see. So the United States federal budget is $3.4 trillion. How much of that would you think goes to NASA?
2.85%.
No.
3%.
No.
5%.
No.
1%.
Getting closer.
Less than 1%.
Less than 1%.
Jesus.
So 0.5%, according to its Wikipedia right here. NASA's, now this was for 2011, so NASA's fiscal year 2011 budget was $18.4 billion.
Still, it's a lot of money. Like,
it's a lot of money, but when you put it into perspective with a lot of other stuff,
like toilet seats.
well, no, like military budget is,
yeah.
that's more than that's about half of what most of the money goes to.
Good $1 trillion.
Yeah. And it's absolutely awful. Like the budget that was proposed for this year by the Trump organization cuts so much shit from different agencies.
Here's $500,000 in a coupon book. Good at any sizzler.
That's pretty much what's going to end up happening. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's this funny thing where like you have Trump signing on the one hand signing the bill or whatever it was that he wants the NASA to go to Mars. Yet if this budget goes through,
we can't afford to send.
He's gonna like it eliminates
our space.
It eliminates a decent chunk of NASA spending where they're going to have to get rid of like anything to do with climate change and earth sciences and stuff like that.
He probably thinks they're just going to call it MacGyver and be like, yo, he's going to help you.
Yeah,
just
right.
In that a good way.
Here's some gum
Yeah.
and half of a paperclip.
Yep.
Go for it.
We'll say most of a paperclip.
Yeah. But we'll see what happens with that. Yeah.
It's basically the big bend and around to just past the, you know when you twist them and they break in that one point?
Uh-huh.
It's just past that because the guy who broke it didn't do it right.
Yeah.
So it's a little more than half, but not enough.
Yeah.
Whole paperclip, god damn it. Still wouldn't be a great one.
Anyway.
I would not get a rocket if like MacGyver was like checking things out. I'd be like, no, nah.
Right.
Is he just sightseeing? Because
nope. I realize it's MacGyver, but
nope, not gonna do it. Not gonna do it.
No. Want a real rocket scientist?
Yep. Not one played on TV. Boom. Science.
Yeah, that's science.
Science. Booyah! What's happening, guys?
Why is this grape Gatorade blue?
Because it's fierce grape. The other one, it's actual grape.
Grapes are blue.
Yeah, the other one that's grape is actual purple. So I don't want you to confuse people by having grape and fierce grape look the exact same. Because well, it's the same, just a different name. So they made it.
Well,
look
if it
purple.
had like a stronger taste than
like
regular
that
grape,
actually tastes like grape, you mean?
it'd be fierce grape. Well, this kind of does taste like grape, but I don't know. The color throws me off because it's blue. I don't get it.
I don't get it either, sir. I just know it's
But
delicious.
I suppose that's also because I'm not really a connoisseur of Gatorades. So I don't know, like...
They could have, because I'm pretty sure they don't sell like the regular grape one anymore.
They literally could make the same flavor, just different colors, and sell it as different flavors, and I wouldn't know the difference because I don't drink Gatorade enough to really know.
Well, this one is fruit punch. This one is
I
apple.
guess it's red, right? That's what color fruit punch is, right? Red.
Yeah.
Apple. It looks like an apple. Looks green. That's
You drink, you're like, this tastes like fruit punch.
This tastes like...
Shut up, tall guy.
This tastes like grape. What?
What? Literally just like it's this... They just go through whatever flavor they have. They just pump a bunch out in different colors.
Mm-hmm.
And the next month, like, it's a different flavor, but it just punch out in a bunch of different colors.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they never clean the vats, so when you get those mixes, you end up with those like mystery lollipops.
Yeah, taste terrible.
It's just a different taste because, well, we didn't really want to clean things out before we started the new flavor.
There's an old bar term called a duck fart.
Yeah.
It's where the server or bartender takes the spill tray and dumps it into a shot, so it's a mixture of everything that was poured on that mat.
Yep.
So it could be beer, it could be hard liquor, it could be mixers, and just into a shot, and it looks like muddy swamp water.
Yeah. I've
Yeah,
heard of those.
Those are terrible.
I've never known of a bar to actually do it, but I have heard of it.
They do it to drunks all the time.
Nah.
Because that shit would be disgusting.
Yeah, for sure.
Hence the reason why.
Because it also has like like if you make a martini on it, it's got like the olive juice and stuff. Like if you're making dirty martini, so like that's in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Like there's a chance like soda's in there too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's
Oh, yeah.
the bad part.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But just a different type of like hard liquor mixing together too. Like you ever seen like a busy bar doing like shots of like Jaeger or something, it just overspills, so you get that in there. Then do like tequila the same way, and like all these different literally like different types of hard liquor, and then like that's just amalgamating in this fucking tray of just bleh.
To be fair, like those aren't bad until you
Mix them?
Unless you, well, no, I mean, I would take those mixed over like Crown Royal any day.
Oh, that'd be on there too.
Crown Royal is the worst ever.
And Cavassier,
Never had that.
terrible as well.
Yeah, I remember that I knew somebody who that's all he drank was Crown Royal, so he wanted me to have some, and I'm not a hard liquor person. Oh my god, it was like
Soft liquor
literally
person.
drinking turpentine. Like I don't understand how people like. I can understand, you know, I've had bourbon, I've had whiskey and stuff like that, and again, I'm not a hard liquor person, so it's not great. But in certain circumstances, it can be like with a little bit of ice or a little bit of like ginger ale or something like that. It's actually
Mixer
not
of
too
some
bad.
sort, yeah.
But Crown Royal, no matter what you mix that with, it is absolutely god awful shit.
It's terrible. Yes. It's not good stuff to be putting in your body.
Nope. Anyway,
Yeah.
anything new this week?
Let's see. There's nothing crazy. I watched a couple trailers before we started recording.
Yeah, we did.
We watched the new Baywatch trailer, which at this point, like, they're showing some new clips from stuff because we already knew what basically was going on in the movie.
Yeah.
This gives us a little bit more detail of like, you know, oh, it's this lady who's doing this bad stuff. But it's more like this one, unlike the last two, this had some rearranged of those same scenes but newer scenes also, which is really fun. The drag queen scene was pretty unpleasant to
That was
watch.
pretty hilarious.
That is very unappeasing for sure. We watched the trailer for Atomic Blonde, the female John Wick, as I said.
Yeah.
Good.
It does look pretty good.
Does look pretty good. And she got her fucking face punched a bunch,
Yeah.
which is I'm not gonna say good to see, but you know.
Well, no, it's always good to see because let me finish.
Because Joe likes ladies getting beat.
Because it's human. It's very humanizing. That's one of the big reasons why I like Die Hard. Because before that, you know, all your actions movies were, you know, the big muscly guys who never get hurt. They never take a punch, or when they do, they just shake it off. You know, so it's very nice to see that type of stuff when you can relate to. It allows you to relate to these people more. It's more humanizing than making them look like some giant, beastly, robotic person.
Yeah, when your hero gets beat up is always good. He didn't mean the ladies, by the way. Everyone.
No,
He
I
just
meant heroes in
the hero or heroine
Yeah.
of the piece.
Yeah.
We can't talk about Iron Fist because Mike hasn't seen any of it.
Let's talk about it, man. Let's go.
No, you haven't seen any of it.
Now let's go.
No.
Let's get balls deep on
You-
some
you
spoilers.
haven't
How many
seen it
episodes
yet.
you in, Joe?
2.
All right, let's talk about the first 2 episodes. Let's do this right now. How was it, Cody?
I enjoyed it a lot.
The internet being a bunch of bitches
Yeah.
talking all that shit.
Now, do you want to go? Because I haven't read what any of the bad reviews are. Like I've seen.
So people are
that
saying it's
people were
boring.
Saying, okay.
They say that it's
The kung fu is bad.
they're saying kung fu's bad. They're saying the acting is kind of terrible. But I mean, it's to me it
Saying
feels like
the
another
Hobo Ninja. I've heard
Yeah.
Hobo Ninja.
Hobo
thrown
Ninja's
around.
thrown on there. Yeah.
Well,
That made me laugh.
Yes.
Made me want to see it more.
it kind of
I
is
was
a
like,
hobo ninja.
Yeah.
It sounds
It
hilarious.
is kinda
Let's
funny.
watch this.
Yeah.
I do like the fact though. Here's a little spoiler for you. When he does get money, they put him up in this this fancy hotel room until he can find his own place to live, whatever. And this hatchet gang, as they call him, comes after him, and that's when you get really the first real glimpse of the Iron Fist in action. And this dude swings an axe at Joy. So Danny goes to block it, so he pulls out the Iron Fist literally, and basically like puts his hand out in front of it so that the axe hits it, and it shatters. The guy's like, and then just gets punched in the face. I was like, well, I guess that's exactly what I would do if I literally hit a guy's hand with a hatchet, which I know is gonna cut stuff, or at least hurt real bad when I hit it. And then his hand glowed from the inside. I hit it, and then literally like the head of my hatchet shattered, and like the ripples of pain went down my arm. I just be like, buh, and then just suck it in the face. I think I'll say this: Daredevil, even we'll just leave out season 2. Season 1 did have better fight scenes in it than this, but he also went up against a whole lot more developed fighters. He went against the Hand, and they're like full-fledged, like badass ninjas.
Yeah.
And Danny doesn't have a lot of those,
Not
so a lot of
yet.
his are thugs more than anything else, and like bodyguards and shit.
Yeah.
So, which I think the first episode and the parade scene is pretty dope, because
Yeah.
it kind of shows like his resourcefulness and the fact that like he's not fucking around.
Yeah.
But like when he like strips that dude's gun like in one motion, pulls this dude's gun out of his hand, hits him in the face with it, and then pulls the gun apart and walks away, you're like, oh damn.
I was thoroughly impressed by the action scene. So when you say like the show was boring, at least going through the first 2 episodes, I don't think so at all.
No, the thing about this one is there's a whole lot more story they have to do, because
Not anybody knows really.
yeah, like
Iron
no one knows
Fist.
about Iron Fist, but also Iron Fist has a lot more. Like if you go back to watch the middle part of season 1 of Daredevil, where they really go plot heavy, is where you get the Kingpin's background and you get more of his training with Stick, like that stuff. It's slowed down.
Yeah.
The thing is, we haven't seen really any of Danny's training in
No.
all of season 1. You don't see hardly any of it. It's all just talking about how it was, he was basically grown, like he grew up in the last 15 years in this monastery learning kung fu, but you don't actually see any of it
Yeah,
in the
first
training
2
really.
episodes,
So
the
like,
closest you ever got, we're seeing him meditating on top of a mountain in a flashback, or him just meeting the 2 monks after the plane crash.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you get of the backstory, because it's so traumatic to him. He starts it like 2 or 3 times in the first 2 episodes trying to explain to people what happened to him, because everybody thought him and his parents were dead, and
he shows up out of nowhere.
And he shows up out of nowhere. And even in these conversations, he stops because it's so traumatic to him to try and relate what had happened to him to these people.
Yeah, and the thing about it is like his is more of a mental challenge. His story and his upbringing, because it is so traumatic, because he watched his mother die. He essentially saw his dad die, and then he grew up with nobody to talk to, because like in the monastery, they didn't talk because they're monks. That's what happens for the most part, and no one cared because it was all about kung fu and learning kung fu and training to become the Iron Fist. There was nothing else.
From their perspective, from the monk's perspective, there was always an Iron Fist.
Yep.
And it was his. It wasn't like. It was more like a fate type of thing that his plane crashed in the Himalayas, and he's the next Iron Fist. That's the way the monks see it.
Yep. Because of the
there's
prophecy.
really no choice in him. It's literally just like, well, there's the next Iron Fist. We're gonna train him.
Yep. And then they're gonna push him toward that, and then he wants to become the Iron Fist, because he, like, as a little kid, you get told like, hey, you're special. You're gonna believe it.
Yeah,
You know what I
and
mean?
he definitely has
And,
like a desire to want to protect people and help people.
The story, like, literally, like, I think this is the most in-depth story that they've done in any of the Netflix shows so far. Because so far, even season 2 of Daredevil didn't really have an exploratory story. It was just, he's a vigilante. Here's another vigilante. There's some bad guys. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
This dives deep into the psychology of Danny being essentially a kid who never got a childhood, really.
Yeah.
Because he disappeared. He, air quotes, died when he was 10 and lived the last 15 years in a monastery where he didn't actually have a childhood. So like it's not like childlike. Like he's not like
no, but
not
he
naive
does
or anyway.
But he
knows
does
what's
have
going on.
that fascination of like
He has different
an exuberance
Yep.
for the stuff that we take for granted. He'll the very first episode where he's walking through the streets and he's just awestruck about
Yep.
The buildings and
I haven't
whatnot.
seen buildings this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he walks up to that hot dog vendor and he's like, "That's my building. That's it." And he's so happy about it. And he walks in and it almost seems like in his mind, everything is just going over perfectly. He's gonna walk in, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh my God, it's so nice to see you," and it just does not happen at
Yeah.
all. So you can see where he just is like, "Oh, what the hell? Come on."
Yeah, because he's built up that thought of what it's gonna be like when he finally gets back, and he has that mindset of everything was the way it was when he was a kid, so perfect, and had this great outlook on life, blah blah blah. But he knows that it's not. But he just like in his brain, he's like, oh, this is how I remember things and things like that. So
Yeah.
I think when I don't want to give it any away for anybody who hasn't finished it yet, but there's a lot of twists and turns and stuff in the story that I think were really fun. But I think the reason they thought it was boring is because it had a plot involved in it. It wasn't just, punch this dude, punch that dude, kick that lady in the area that you're not supposed to mention, that sort of thing.
Yeah, my only real problem with the show, and I think it's more of a probably how they wanted it acted than anything else, is the son and the dad felt just like way too 80s business evil.
Yeah.
That's my only problem, is like they literally were like, well, this just feels like 80s bad businessmen guys,
Yeah.
evil businessmen type thing.
For sure. They played it up
Especially
for a reason,
especially
but yeah.
the looks, like
Yeah.
the slicked back hair, it's like
it's very comic booky because of the way they portray everybody.
yeah.
I mean, even Danny himself, like, he shows up in like essentially like ratty clothes and no shoes. And he's just walking around New York City with no shoes on. Shut the fuck up.
You're late.
Language. She's about to yell at me for my language.
Language.
Yep.
Thanks, Captain America,
Yep.
Captain Siri.
But yeah, like it's just they play to it, I think, too much, where Daredevil and even Jessica Jones were more grounded to be like more realistic. Because
Yeah.
even Luke Cage, if you ask me, Luke Cage had so much camp to it,
It did, and
but it was fun. Like I thought it was fun. They played it up because they wanted to make it look like those old blaxploitation films
Yeah.
from back in the day, like the Dolomite stuff, where
and that's
it was
what
just
it felt
ridiculous.
like, yes.
Where in this they did the same thing because they made it like a kung fu movie, but the thing about kung fu movies is that they're fucking cheesy. They have those characteristics that people fall into.
Oh yeah.
Like, so you see someone be like, bad guy,
Yeah.
yeah.
good guy, bad guy.
Yeah.
But like the thing, like I think the fact that this, he's got a bad rap right away too, which really sucked.
Yeah.
But like, I think it stands up with the rest of them.
I've only watched 2 episodes, but I feel that the good of it definitely outweighs the one thing that I really have had a problem
Yeah,
with.
I
And
mean,
that's it,
yeah.
and that's it. So it's definitely worth a watch, and
All right.
it does stand up with the rest of them, and I
Couple
really
questions.
want to see Defenders.
Couple answers.
Night Nurse.
Yeah,
Prominently.
in the last half.
Uh.
Last half, like she was in Daredevil season 1. Last half,
All right. All right.
like the exact same amount.
Any other defenders in it?
No,
Any
So-
other bad guys in it?
Yes.
Kingpin?
No. He's so the world.
Fuck.
So
Yeah,
this
no.
takes place. I have a feeling. So you don't technically know where this takes place until Night Nurse shows up, because she basically breaks down what's going on. Because there's a lot of things referenced in this that you need to watch the other shows for.
Okay.
Because they don't specifically say certain things until one point, which is the only thing that really made me mad. So one point they say there's other special people like you around. There's people that want to do good. They have special abilities, and this is before Night Nurse, as Mike likes to call her, Claire, knew about the Iron Fist. They were like, everyone was referring to him as that Iron, like he referred to himself as Iron Fist, and they're like, I don't know what the fuck that actually means, little kid.
Yeah.
You know? And of course, then she sees he's like, sploosh, like, what the fuck, man? But the thing is, what I'm talking about is she says by name Daredevil and Luke Cage and you, the Iron Fist, and I was like, you forgot one. Like, there's one you're missing. And then I thought, oh wait, hold on, like, so like, Luke Cage was like, nope, Luke Cage, the show happened after Jessica Jones, so she knows that because Jessica Jones knows her personally.
Yeah.
Because that's how she met Luke Cage for the first time.
Does she know Jessica Jones has powers?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, she does, huh?
because she showed off her powers in front of her, Claire, and so she knows who she is, and she even knows the history between Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, mainly because it broke down in front of her.
No.
Yeah.
So I mean that's
Oh,
the
that's right.
thing.
Yeah. Maybe she just wants to keep her in hiding.
I guess.
Trying to have her
But
back.
there are, let's see, recurring people from, other than Night Nurse, there are 2 other recurring characters directly mentioned. And it's funny, reason I bring up Jessica Jones is, in one of the other episodes, Joy talks about hiring a private investigator that takes pictures of people doing bad things. Guess what Jessica Jones does?
that.
She's a
That.
private investigator that takes pictures of people doing bad things,
Yep.
like cheating on their spouses or other horrific sex acts. And I was like, oh, so Joy Meacham literally hired Jessica Jones, and I'll just spoil this right now, and Jessica Jones' lawyer is in this. So Carrie Ann Moss is in Iron Fist as that same character. So there's 2 points of like just right there of her being involved with other characters other than Night Nurse that
Yeah.
interact with Iron Fist, with Danny Rand. So it's like, it's not like she's invisible to the world, but when she said the Daredevil and the Iron Fist, or Daredevil, Luke Cage, and I was like, and no, you're not gonna say it.
Nope.
Okay, that's cool, whatever. And I read another. Oh, I didn't read the whole review because I don't like reviews. But I did see someone say there was a lack of a villain in this,
Really?
and I was like, I
Like, I
know.
don't understand where the plot is going at this point. Cause
Oh, don't worry, it's gonna change twice.
But even right now, I'm like, well, that's the villain. Like, for these 2 episodes, that's the villain.
Yeah, like right, like
It may change, but there's always a villain. It seems
yeah,
like.
and so I'm like, if you go back to Daredevil season 1, Kingpin wasn't a villain for Daredevil until like the last 4 episodes. He was a bad guy,
Yeah.
but not directly involved. Daredevil was involved with a different set of bad guys,
Yeah.
and there's a huge parallel between season 1 of Daredevil and season 1 of Iron Fist, that people should be saying what they said about episode 7 versus Star Wars, is the fact that it's literally just a copycat. It is literally that. And because they're so fucking dumb about saying it's boring and there's nothing going on, the kung fu's bad, they don't realize that this is literally a copy of Daredevil.
Right. And they've, even in the first 2 episodes, they've already referenced the hand. So you
Yeah.
know that they're going to be the ultimate bad guy. You just don't know how.
Yeah.
What their point is behind all of this.
Oh, when you find out, or I figured it out before it happened.
Well, because they do make
they
mention
allude to it
of
very direct,
the warehouses that they want to buy.
Yeah.
I just don't know if that's in reference to like what happened within Daredevil season 2, or if that's something else.
It's more to do with what happened in Daredevil season 1.
Season 1.
So in Daredevil season 1, he takes down the Hand's operation of heroin.
Okay.
That's
I was trying to remember.
Out to.
Yes, and season 2 is the one where they're digging holes in the.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But okay, yeah. So I get that, but yeah, there's definitely, there definitely is a bigger bad guy that they're leading up to.
Yeah, and the thing about it is the way they do it to me is super awesome.
Yeah.
Because it's very, very comic book. It's like it's that thing where like they tell you one thing on page 3 and 4, you turn it to page 5, you're like, sons of bitches, sons of bitches, you tricked me. And in this they do that. They blatantly go, hey, look, it's my right hand, and then like slap, purple. You're like, what the fuck?
You got the hand.
Yeah. There's a really
people...
funny comment though about the hand in this. Is someone's like, the hand, like, why don't you just call it the elbow? You'll get to it. It's funny.
Yeah, I'll get to it.
Because it's a thing.
Okay.
I just think I want to bring it up. Go ahead.
No, what I was gonna say is like people love comic book movies and shows, but they hate comic books, or they hate when those things are too much like comic books.
I think they hate when those things are too much like comic books.
Yeah.
Because I can understand. There are those certain just comic book tropes, that are just not fun. And a lot of it is the inability for your main characters to die.
Yeah.
They always come back.
Well, yeah, because you can't have a show called Daredevil and
there's
kill them
the
off.
well, yeah. There's the fan.
We spoiled it already. What are you talking about?
The fantastic-ism, I guess, of it. Just it always, at least in a comic book, it always seems like they have to get more and more fantastic in order to. It's like
you have to.
It's like an addiction.
You can't change it up, but you have to do something to make it.
It's like an
much
addiction,
better.
yeah. And eventually, you just get to a point where that's like just too fucking weird.
Yeah.
Eventually, and to me, that's why like the Batman movies from Christopher Nolan did so well, because it grounded things more. And
even when
why
it did get
these
fantastic, when you got that fantastic element in Nolan's movies, it still was just a dude in a suit fighting a dude in a mask,
right?
Or a dude with scars on his face. It was never like, hey, I'm gonna fly my big bat-shaped airplane over the city full of gas-spewing balloons, and he's gonna pull out a fucking 20-inch fucking gun cock and shoot me down with one bullet.
I feel like you're disparaging the greatness of the first Batman movie.
No, it's
second Batman movie technically.
It was.
I didn't bring up shark repellent.
Batman. It is a really good movie. I do like the Tim Burton Batman.
Yeah, it's fun because of what
really
it is. The first two, not
yeah.
Anything after that. I think it just got silly and stupid.
Yeah.
But in the Nolan ones, what I'm saying is his fantastic elements, like the things that are out crazy, is the thing that like the most outlandish thing to me is how the fuck did Bruce Wayne get from that goddamn underground prison after he climbed through that fucking well back to Gotham so quickly? Because unless their planet's fucking flat, that's a lot of travel. You know what I mean?
And that is one thing I had a
Shaq
problem with that
River.
movie as well.
Yeah. So like that's the only thing to me, and that's more of a plot hole because they don't want to show him traveling.
Well,
and
again,
like,
though,
this
it's
sort of
something
thing.
that's easily explained. Like you could literally have just had a scene in there, because we all know that Batman likes to plan for every occasion and anything.
Yeah, and he's
So what if maybe just around the world he didn't just scatter a bunch of cases or something like that?
Or he has connections where like,
or he has
I need a plane, and they're like, oh, here you go. You know, I'm Bruce fucking Wayne.
It's literally
Here you go,
like
Mr.
a
Wayne.
less than 5 minute scene that you could have had, and you could have explained. You filled in that pothole.
Literally getting him, like showing him get on a plane.
Yeah.
Like in a disguise as like, Matches Malone or something.
Yeah.
Which Mike would have been fucking just everywhere.
Yeah.
They said Matches Malone.
Yeah.
And
he has to have the match in his mouth. I said that just for you, Mike. You're welcome. Yeah, so like something like that, like the fantastic elements in that is, Bane has a mask, but it gives him special power. No, it just
No, it
literally,
doesn't
it's like
even-
it's
keeps him alive.
yeah, it basically keeps him from fucking going into horrific pain when it's just drugging him up the entire time. He gets jacked because he was in prison, and when you're in prison, guess what you can do?
Workout.
Sit down, die, or work out.
Yeah.
And later punch through people's faces.
Yep.
Help a little girl escape through a fucking crazy ass thing that no grown man can do. Or the fact that a crazy doctor in some underground prison well was able to fix Batman's broke ass back just by like stepping on it. You know what I mean? Crazy.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, like so in this, like there is some fantastic elements, but we're talking about a guy who centers his chi into his fist to make it impenetrable.
And within what they've already given you as like Luke Cage, I mean it's
Luke
still
Cage
grounded, like in this world, it's still grounded.
Like no one has a problem that Jessica Jones jumps 20 feet in the air, no problem.
Yeah.
Or like she's fucking like she literally like punches through people and
Yeah.
things. But a dude that centers his chi to a glowing hand and punches through walls is fucking too outlandish. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
You know? I think they did an awesome job, but I'm a comic book fan, so like maybe my I don't want to say standards are lower, but like maybe my thought process is a little different. It's like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be done. You know what I mean? It's more it's no worse than like I've never actually watched it, but Gotham with their fucking craziness. You know what I mean? So nothing like that.
Yeah.
You know, I think the other thing too is the people who are doing the writing reviews aren't really paying attention. They're just watching it as it goes by, and they're not actually they're not involved in it. They're not like absorbing what's happening, so they're not paying attention to things.
I got to get this review out.
Yeah,
So I'm just gonna.
I need to burn through
all,
13 hours of
13
fucking
episodes? Yeah.
this show to give you a review. Because if I don't give you a review of all of it, I feel like I'm cheating you. It's like, no, like you're literally burning. Like, if you do a review of a 2-hour movie and you don't pay attention, that's your fault of being a shitty person. But I could see trying to burn through 13 hours and not grasping everything.
That's why Nerdist does it right. They release one review a day.
Yeah.
When the Netflix Marvel show comes out.
Yeah, like episode 1,
Yeah.
boom. So like IGN's one of the people I hate because their reviews are basically editorials.
Yeah.
It's like you're not objectively looking at this as a whole. You're objectively looking at it as you. And if you don't enjoy those, like if you don't like kung fu movies, you are not gonna like this.
Yeah.
Like the kung fu wasn't good. It's like, do you know fucking kung fu?
Right.
Like
that's always my
There's an episode directed by the RZA, and it was the most fucking kung fu thing you could ever imagine. Mm-hmm. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I didn't know he directed an episode.
Yeah, dude.
That makes me super excited.
It's literally a tournament to the death.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's fantastic. And I was like, oh my God, if there's another episode like this, I will literally lose my fucking mind.
That's awesome.
Oh, it was so dope. And it sucked because they had to fit it in one episode.
Yeah.
I was like, man, they should have Dragon Ball Z the shit out of this. Just drug it over 4. Like,
one dude just screaming
because you remember
for 5
Do you
minutes.
remember the in the first season of Daredevil, the fight with the hands champion in the fucking warehouse where they just literally beat the fuck out of each other, and then later he lights him on fire to kill him, and then spoiler, he shows up in season 2. Kills him. Which when he comes back in season 2, you're like, I don't want to sound racist, but is that
the
oh,
same
it is.
guy?
Okay, they said it's the same guy.
Yeah.
Thank God. Because I was about to say that dude looks a lot like his cousin from the first season. And in this, there's even reference to that, which is fantastic.
Is there?
You'll understand why. And it's like it all plays into each other, and like the fact that like I can't remember who it was. It was someone I respect enough to listen to what they say, but don't care what they say. But they said Marvel needed to do Doctor Strange to do Iron Fist.
Why?
This is the reason why. There is that secondary body type thing. Like, he doesn't leave his body ever. Like, he doesn't do the out-of-body experience, but, like, they at one point, like, he was meditating, that becomes more visceral later on. And so there's a part where, like, a monk visits him.
He did have that, like, I don't know so much about controlling that eagle as far as, like, just
it was
being
one of the
able to
worst parts
see.
of that show, by the way, is that terrible CGI on that eagle in the city.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
But you get that sense that he could see what the eagle was seeing.
In a way, yeah.
In a way.
It's that out
But-
of your body type of thing, that spiritual type thing.
But I don't understand why somebody's thought process is, well, you have to do Doctor Strange in order to do that.
So, because part of Doctor,
make
the only
fucking sense to me.
correlation is the fact that Doctor Strange is to control and perform magic the way they do. It's accessing your chi.
Yeah.
This is the same thing. The difference is he's not casting magic.
No.
His discipline is harnessing his chi in a way.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. It bothers me that people
You're
are
assuming your audience is stupid if you say stuff like that.
Yeah, that's why I say, like, I heard that and I was like, and this is, I think it was before, I think I read that before I finished the season, and I was like, nope, because I was like, oh, is this dude gonna like shoot magic beams out of his hand or like reverse time? But there's some things like in it that are, I mean, fantastical, but like nothing.
But so far, like I've said in the first 2 episodes that I've watched, you see his glowing hand.
Yeah.
And you just get the sense that he can see what the eagle is seeing. But
Yeah.
that's not, that's still relatively grounded. It's not extremely fantastical as much as we've seen in the rest of, a blind man
Seeing through fire and stuff,
doing acrobatics and stuff.
It's I mean, to me, like I was saying, it's just as fantastical as Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage is.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's what seems to be a regular dude with some weird capability that he has.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same idea. It's nothing, to me, it's nothing crazier.
No.
Like I said, I think this one and Jessica Jones are the most plot heavy of the 4 shows
So far, yeah.
because Jessica Jones has a lot of psychological stuff in it, and like
Yeah.
the Purple Man, David Tennant's character, Kilgrave is super fucked up, and there's a lot to it. It's not just like, oh, he's a mean guy. Like, no, he's beyond mean. Like, there's mean and there's this fucking guy, and this fucking guy doesn't have a category of his own.
Who tells that little kid to go stand in the closet?
Oh my god, dude.
Because he was annoyed with her?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, or they just go, put your hand in the fucking disposal, and the guy's just standing. I was like, all right, well, no, nope. So like that, to me, those two, plot wise and story wise, are very, very similar.
Yeah.
Not that their stories are the same, but like the
No.
fact that they're very plot heavy. There's a lot of stuff going on that you have to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Where, like I said before, in Daredevil and Luke Cage, you don't really have to. It's literally just there for the action. Like, that's what it is. I like Finn Jones as Danny Rand. He's fun.
I think he's fantastic, yeah.
And I mean, it's a slightly different take than some people think Iron Fist is, because Iron Fist, they're thinking Iron Fist as in the Iron Fist and Power Man, like he's this stoic dude. But if you read those, like, he's a goofy fucker. Like,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. He loves life and he wants to do what he wants to do. I don't know, but to me, it's just what it is.
I actually really like Ultimate Spider-Man's version of Iron Fist
Yeah.
character. Like, that's a fun
Yeah.
version and get shit done though.
He's kind of a goofball,
Yeah.
kind of
Like
smack talking in a way.
hippie-ish
Yeah.
little bit too. Like,
Yep.
he's always
Yeah, that's exactly
throwing
how
out, like, those
Danny
kung
Rand
fu
is.
proverbs and shit.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's how he does.
And
He
that's-
does
yeah.
that all the time through the
It
show.
is, really.
Let's see. We got a little bit of time. Other news. Ridley Scott said there are at least 4 more Alien movies.
Oh, hey, yeah, I know that's fucking amazing. But on that note, I was thinking about this earlier. Have we heard anything about the Neil Blomkamp Alien movie?
No.
I mean, it was what, last year maybe
No,
that we saw
2015.
that. Yeah, the year before that we saw the
The art book came out.
Yeah,
That had his shit in it. No.
I'm just wondering if anybody knows if that got shelved or not.
We don't know. Ridley Scott is basically just saying like he has like.
And this obviously, you say 4 more movies. This obviously could be one of them.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah.
So like, he plans 2 separate, basically a 6 movie run, like, so basically 2 trilogies. So you'll have the Prometheus trilogy and something else. That's what the rumor is, or not the rumor, but the thought process. So the first 3 movies, Prometheus is one, Covenant is the second one. He has a name. I can't remember where I saw the.
But so you'll have
Name
that
of
one
it.
that closes out the Prometheus.
Yep, the Prometheus
trilogy.
one, and then somehow that one links to these
Maybe-
other 3 that somehow link to the rest of the universe, the rest of the Ridley Scott alien xenomorph universe, what do you want to call it, / Blade Runner, it was Wayland Yutani. But so yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting to think that he's like that far ahead.
Yeah.
But I mean, we did hear boasts like this from James Cameron, and it's been over 10 years since we've seen Avatar.
James Cameron is a whole different
So we'll
type
see.
of director, though.
We'll see how that actually plays out. Because I mean, James Cameron, Avatar is. I'm not gonna say it's an easy thing to compare those two, because Avatar is a drastically larger movie than
Yes.
anything that Ridley Scott's ever done.
Yes.
Just in general, like
Well, he basically James Cameron basically invented technology.
he George Lucas the fuck out of stuff.
and
Yeah,
pioneered 3D
yeah, like
in order to do this
yeah,
movie.
and he had to.
And
so
that's the problem. That's why that's why that took so long to get made. And that's why this is going to be taking so long to get made, because he's basically, James Cameron is technologically insane, whereas Ridley
Very
Scott
true.
is much more grounded. He's more apt to use more physical action and stunts and whatnot than he is for hit CG and whatnot.
Oh, here's the quote that I was looking for, the one I was telling you about. So, Ridley Scott says, there will be another one before we kind of literally and logically clockwise go back into the rear back head of the original Alien. So I'm explaining what he means by this and what I said. So, Covenant, then there'll be one more that finishes that trilogy, and then the second set of movies will then somehow tie into the rest of them, which means if reading this properly, because then it says if this is successful, and then the next one, and then there will be definitely 3 more. Those are the 4. So this one. So if Covenant does well, he thinks it's going to. There's the next one will follow that directly. The other 3 will then go back behind what he calls his Alien, the Alien movies. I don't know if it said it in here or someone else. He believes that Alien and Aliens are their standalone movies. Like, those 2 exist, and then everything beyond that is just
Garbage.
out of
Garbage.
Like, it's gone. So Alien 3, a lot of people think that's in the time frame, like it's in there. Apparently he does not. He's doesn't like that. And Resurrection for sure not. And then none of the
Those weren't his movies.
They were not his movies. I don't think he produced those ones either.
No.
I think those are just there. So then those next 3 will be at the other end of those. So it'll basically be Prometheus, Covenant, whatever that third one's called, Alien, Aliens, and then these 3.
Yeah.
For a total of 8 movies.
I'm down for it.
Boom.
I'm going to go throw away 3 and
3 and 4.
3 and 4 right now from my quadrilogy set.
3.
I'm gonna go watch them one more time.
Ridley Scott doesn't consider you an Alien movie.
Not one of his, at
Hey,
least.
it's just a shitty sci-fi movie.
Just a
That shit
shitty
I've never watched.
sci-fi movie.
So it's interesting to see what that's about. What else? I had something else. They still haven't told us what Sylvester Stallone's role is in Guardians 2, but they did announce that him and Michael Rosenbaum are very important Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 characters.
We do know that he did not film anything with Drax.
Yes, there's no scene between Sylvester Stallone and Drax.
We only know that because Batista is filming The Escape Plan 2,
Yes.
which I didn't know they needed to make, but I'm oddly excited about it
Of course you
because
are.
Batista's in it. And he mentions in a video where he's like him and Batista on Instagram that they didn't get to meet while filming Guardians.
So this is the first time they not only meet, get to work
and that's
together.
also the first time publicly that he's talked about anything Guardians.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. And then James Gunn has said in interviews that hardcore Guardians fans can probably find out what character Stallone plays from the trailers. Like, there's clues. And I'm like, well, I don't fucking know. Because I was hoping Cody would figure it out for us. But
Hardcore fans would be... Wow. That's going to be like super studying background stuff, I guess.
The thing about this is, like, I think that's I think he's fucking with us when he says that statement, because I don't like when he says it like hardcore fans. I don't know if he's talking about hardcore Guardians of the Galaxy fans directly, or just Marvel fans.
Yeah.
Because like you say Marvel fans, like, well, fuck, like I don't know, like, are you shitting me? Like I don't know, fuck, like, it took me to someone pointing out the fucking weird slug thing that was in Benicio del Toro's fucking cave was Adam Warlock. Like I had no idea that was Adam Warlock's fucking cocoon that got broken open, so he's flying around there somewhere.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, other little things. So who fucking knows at this point? Like, very important Guardians of the Galaxy characters is like, you already said you don't want to do Nova.
Yeah.
So, you know, you did the Nova Corps, but you won't do Nova. So Michael Rosenbaum can't be Nova, you know? So I don't know. I'm just excited. I think it's to be fun because, like, how much could they possibly be in the film? We haven't seen a lot of even through all the trailers we haven't seen a lot of the film.
No.
I mean, this last trailer gave you a wee bit more story detail, but even then, you're like, I have no idea what the fucking story actually is about.
No.
Because, like, these gold people are, like, dickbags, apparently. And, like, you know, what Papa Star-Lord is hanging out in a weird clamshell thing that opens up with Mantis. Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
I just want to see it. Like, I'm done with this point. Other news. More Marvel news in a way. Two things on Deadpool. Or I guess three things, really. So, Deadpool 2 is going to feature Domino and Cable.
Nice.
Cable is yet to, air quotes, yet to be cast, as we know, which is probably not true. The front runner now seems to be Michael Shannon, which, if you don't know who that is, it's the guy who played Zod in The Man of Steel. So it's another person jumping from DC to Marvel. Where did Ryan come from? Weird. So that, I think that's a really good casting.
Yeah.
If you ask me, I think he'd do a really good Cable.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see Pierce Brosnan, but he's not a big enough dude.
No.
But he's aged pretty well.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So, because he looks pretty dope in that new AMC miniseries thing that he's gonna be in, The Sun.
Oh, I haven't seen anything for that.
It's like a western, so Mike should be all giddy about that one.
That's nice.
Other Deadpool 2 or Deadpool stuff. Deadpool 2 writers, basically in their quote of how Cable is gonna be put on, they say, "Shut your fucking mouth." Ryan plays Deadpool with a hint of femininity, I guess is how you say that word, and that can be funny opposite of Cable, who's uber masculine.
Femininity.
Femininity, yeah. It's
Okay.
basically he's very feminine when he does it. You know, the way he moves, and obviously super.
Yeah, well, he's got
anti-sexual
that.
type
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. He's got that high sexuality about him,
Yeah.
where he doesn't give a fuck if he's making somebody else uncomfortable.
Exactly.
I mean, hell,
he actually prefers it.
is that a baby hand? Yeah.
I'm gonna leave the room.
You want to leave the room because I bet it looks bigger in this.
Yep, shit like
Yeah.
that. The other news is that Deadpool 3 and the X-Force movie, which they are planning, are not the same movie. They're two separate movies. So, they're already planning for Deadpool 3, and they're planning for an X-Force movie, which hopefully would include Ryan's Deadpool.
Yeah.
Who else? I don't fucking know who else would be in it.
Well, wouldn't you have Cable in it?
No, Cable's. I mean, you could have Cable. It depends on what incarnation of said.
Because I know he wasn't
X-Force in
like
it.
part of the X-Force, but
Yeah.
like he showed up.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see how it actually plays out, but yeah. So it's just good to know that they're not trying to cram it. They're not pulling a Fox and trying to cram it all in one place.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you guys saw X-Men Apocalypse, but
I did not actually.
fuck, that thing was everywhere.
Hot garbage.
God damn it! I don't know why it made me so upset after I watched it. I mean, it really did make me upset. I knew it was like I already get people who actually liked those. Like I have friends. We have friends, I should say. They're the same people who liked Days of Future Past and First Class, which I still don't understand how it's possible. Days of Future Past is a little bit better than First Class for sure. But then they saw this and like, oh no, this movie is hot garbage. And I remember hearing all these things and all these things from like one of the ones is like when Apocalypse is basically choking Mystique in the air, and they made the billboard out of it. People got all fucking uppity. Oh,
Yeah.
it's showing abuse to women. It's like, first off, they're in a fight, and he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Like if you imagine what a bad guy would do to a lady, choking her in the air is probably the least of her problems
Right.
versus being raped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, not advocating any of that, but I'm saying he's a bad guy. That's kind of his thing.
Yeah.
But when you see it on the screen, it's actually a lot more traumatizing because you hear like the bones,
Ugh.
like and the he's squeezing, but it's like obviously like they're doing it for dramatic effect because it goes on too long, and he could have just snapped that dumb bitch's fucking neck and just thrown the body away because he held her long enough. I'm like, dude, just do it. Just snap it and throw it. Like, you have way more problems to deal with than just her.
Yeah.
But the amount of shit they throw in this fucking movie is like they literally said, okay, all the ideas anybody wants to see, let's put it up on a fucking board and throw darts on him, and we'll use the first 100 ideas we get. Like, it's just they revamp the X-Men, but they don't like they. And it's funny because like it goes back to that line from Deadpool where he's like, "Is it Patrick Stewart or McCavey? Because I can't get the universes correct or whatever."
Yeah.
This is the exact same thing. Because at one point, so Mystique goes back and says that they tried doing the X-Men before, right? And obviously, even Apocalypse takes place before Bryan Singer's first set of X-Men, right?
Okay.
The problem with that is this set doesn't have anything really to do with those. Like, so it has Cyclops in it. It has Jean Grey in it. Has Nightcrawler. Oops, because guess what? He didn't get introduced till X-Men 2. So how was he not known of before this?
Yeah.
Yep, so that's already out of the window. They do like the dumbest thing when they literally blow up Xavier's school. Like, the whole mansion just fucking gets floored.
Okay.
And they kill, I'm going to spoil it for you, they kill Havoc in the explosion.
Okay.
So when that happens, if you go back to the comic book mythology, technically Havoc is Scott's younger brother.
Yeah.
So Cyclops is the middle brother technically.
But he's
Vulcan's
older
the
than-
older brother.
Yeah.
You have Cyclops and you have Havoc. So Havoc was in First Class, which automatically threw me off. It was like,
Right.
all right,
Age difference.
yeah, and then like so you have that, and the introduction to Scott's powers, like how they happen, is fucking stupid. Essentially, it almost kills a kid in school. So he's sitting in class and he's rubbing his eyes, something's irritating his eyes, and this girl turns around and sees him, and then her boyfriend just happens to be sitting between those two. Says, "Oh, you eyeballing my girl?" I was like, "Eyeballing my girl? What is this? 1943?"
Gross.
And so he goes. The teacher's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And he's like, "Can I go to the doctor? Can I go to the bathroom?" She's like, "Yeah." And on your way back, just stop by the principal's. I'm like, no, Scott was supposed to be a good student. So what's wrong with you?
Like, if somebody's asking to go to the nurse,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's like
to be
apparently he disrupts class a lot. I guess I don't know. That's
Yeah.
what they assume you know. And then so like the class ends. She holds up the class, and I was like, well, first off, bitch, that bell rang. You ain't hold me for nothing. I'm
Right.
out, this motherfucker. So the bully then follows him into the bathroom, and he's in a stall. He's rubbing his eyes, and he's like, just go away. And he's like, oh, and he peeks over the top, and that's when the beams erupt and like basically hit the door, slam this kid against the fucking wall. Then the beams, for some reason, they bend the door, but they don't bust the door, but then literally just cuts through the fucking building. But just enough to burn, like, to wreckage, but not actually go through anything. Then later on in the movie, he like loses it, like not loses it, but he's basically showing off his powers, and it cuts across this lake up the shore and like splits a tree in half, and I was like, all right, so you're trying to tell me he couldn't control it before, but when he's controlling it now, he's actually does more damage?
Fair.
Okay, all right, whatever. But then they give him sunglasses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the ones that they're cut off on the side, but they're made to look like those old school glasses with the little metal piece right on the corner.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's not like like horn glasses, not like those. They're full frame, but they have that little metal stud right here, like those. But then they just have them plastic goes on the side and they're rubied, and he sees that. I was like, all right, that's cool, like whatever, right? Storm is a bad guy. Even though she wants to be like Mystique and help people, she somehow becomes, I want to help this guy, Apocalypse, destroy all humanity, but only save the mutants.
Okay.
Real fucking flip of the wig.
Yeah.
And then, of course, spoiler, she changes her mind and helps them fight against him at the end. I feel bad that Oscar Isaac was Apocalypse because he's not a very good character. Like, he's just kind of shitty the entire time.
Yeah.
And he's a bitch. Magneto, like, I don't know why Magneto's so dumb in this movie compared to the other ones, because he was smart enough to pull off train tracks to make wire to run in robots that don't have any metal in them so he can control them. Which, that's just re-engineering the metalless robots from the 60s anyways. Or 70s or whatever fucking Days of Future Past took place in. But then he didn't know he could use the ore in the earth as metal. He had to have been told this by Apocalypse, who, by the way, had not yet endowed him with any more power. He hasn't actually, because he gives Psylocke, and I'll get to that fucking nightmare mess in a minute. Mm-hmm. He gives, like, he basically powers up Psylocke, I think. He powers up Angel, for sure, which is one of the most horrific scenes I've ever seen because it just looked terribly painful. Huh. And then he basically psychs up Storm, to kind of motivates them to be better than they are. But he basically brings them all to Auschwitz, which is where Magneto first. I know it's funny that I say it. Was Magneto first displayed any powers?
Yeah.
And the reason he's one of the most powerful is because it was before puberty, which is usually when your mutant ability manifests itself. Mm-hmm. Obviously, meaning he's more powerful. And says, I want you to feel the earth and feel the metal in the earth and pull it up. And he destroys Auschwitz, like in this like rubble eruption of like tornado metal. Yeah. And I was like, so you're trying to tell me a guy who literally can feel the magnetic pull of metal never figured that he can pull metal from the ground.
Right.
So he's an idiot. Okay, fair enough.
At this point, must be, because they even showed in the second movie that he could pull the iron from a dude's.
Well, she injected that into that dude, but yeah, he can sense that still, inside of him.
He could sense it, and he could literally pull that out of somebody because it's just iron. What would be in your diet? It's not like she injected him with giant pellets of iron.
Yeah, it's like. You're walking, you fucking live in this, and then like he's working in a factory that's like smelting stuff, and I was like, bro, do you know what smelting is?
Yeah.
Do you know what smelting is?
Right.
It's taking iron ore from the earth and melting it down. You were in a factory that does this, and you don't realize it. I thought it was funny that he worked in a factory that dealt with metal, and I was like, he runs machinery. Mm-hmm. And then he gets spotted by one guy during an accident that makes him like eventually everybody in that fucking little town he lives in knows that he has mutant abilities because one fucking guy saw something when he moved a piece of metal from falling down on a dude to save his life. He's like, well, he must have mutant powers. Like, really? That's what you go to right away?
Let me guess, and it was like a burn him at the witch type thing after that.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Not that this kid could use his powers for good and actually did by saving a dude's life, and we should be thankful.
Let's crucify him.
Yeah, let's just.
So the police show up. Whoa. With no metal weapons of any type. They have rope to tie his hands up. Mm-hmm. A dude has a bow and arrow. Conveniently, somehow...
A bow and arrow.
He has a bow and arrow. Because they don't want to bring guns, because it's metal. And they automatically know he's Magneto. And I'm like, well, it's a pretty far jump. All right. Whatever. And the whole thing that sets him off being bad is he has a wife and a daughter now in this small town they lives in. Loves him a lot. You can see what's going to happen because he's like, no one's ever going to take me away from you. Like, because he was singing her song, and she asked, how do you know that song? He's like, well, I learned from my grandfather, or my dad who learned from his dad, and then his dad, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, what happened to your parents? Like, they were taken away from me. He's like, no one's ever take you away from me. He's like, no one's ever taking me away. Guess what's going to happen? Police are going to take him away.
Yeah.
So she's freaking out. He's trying to stop him. something happens where the dude with the bow and arrow accidentally has the bow and arrow pulled back, not pointed at Magneto, accidentally lets go of it during like this thing, and the arrow flies through, mind you, no metal, goes through the little girl's back and into the mom's chest, killing them both.
Miraculously.
This arrow has no metal.
The magic arrow.
It's a really sharp piece of wood.
Yeah, that would have to be super sharp
Yeah.
in order to go through two people.
Yeah. So he then pulls off, he basically is holding her, the locket he conveniently gave her the scene before, he pulls it off and then magnetically pushes it and then goes through all their throats. And then pulls it back in his hand and it's all bloody. Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, I could go on how much more garbage is in it. Phoenix is in it. Like,
Wait, what?
yeah, they at the very end to defeat him, Jean unleashes the Phoenix.
But that's not like a power that she unleashes.
But apparently this world it is.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
That is true, yeah.
Dude, they're literally just like everything you imagine. They're just like, fuck it, let's throw it in there.
Okay.
And the best part is, remember we talked about on the show before, one of the scenes that comes out is the kids run away from Xavier's school. So it's Nightcrawler, who somehow no one notices he has blue skin and tattoos on it, like etchings on his face, because he wears a baseball cap and a hood. But he has 3 fucking monstrous fingers, and somehow they don't notice his fucking feet, which aren't gonna fit in shoes, have claws on them. I digress. They basically kind of play hooky, go to a mall, because Nightcrawler doesn't know what a mall is. This is the 80s. Really, in Soviet Russia, you don't go to malls, or anywhere else you ever fucking heard of. They go, you never see him in a mall. You see him leaving a movie theater where they just saw Return of the Jedi. And Jubilee, by the way, who I think is this person, who never actually displays any powers, is just wears a yellow jacket. So I assume it's her.
Jubilee, yeah.
Yeah. I think they might have called her by a name, but I don't know if it was Jubilee. Mentions how Empire Strikes Back is still the better movie, and then Jean Grey says, well, we all know the third movie of the trilogy is the worst. The funny part about that is X3 was the worst of those 3 movies.
Yes.
This is the third one of these newer movies, and it's by far the worst one. And I was like, you literally just made fun of yourselves and your own movie.
Yep.
And don't ever compare yourselves to Star Wars.
Right.
Yeah, it's just, the movie's a fucking train wreck. I will say this, though. Some of the CG is not half bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. But some of it, not a lot of it. Some of it.
Did Apocalypse ever grow to ginormous proportions?
Only in a, not even a dream. It's inside his head. So the whole premise is he finds out that Xavier has the ability to communicate with everybody on the planet, right?
Okay.
So he's going to, in their world, as he moves from body to body and then taking the ability from one body to the other. So in the beginning of the movie, you see the super high-tech pyramid, which has its own faults in plot hole heavy fucking world. When the dome or the point of the pyramid is exposed to the sun, something miraculous happens where the letters start to glow, and there's these 2 stone tables that they lay a really skinny Oscar Isaac on that has a healing ability. They cut him and it heals it. And they have this old decaying Apocalypse, and we're gonna transfer him over here, and then he's gonna have that body that has that ability to heal. But all of his other abilities are gonna go over with him. Okay, cool, whatever. To basically, you think, oh well, if he gets that new younger body, he's probably how they're gonna stop him, right? So he's got his other 4 horsemen with him. And I'm not too sure who they are or what their powers actually were. But the people who want to stop him, I don't even know what you would call them, rebels, have these big stone things that they knock over that conveniently slide down these chutes. right? Because if you know anything about pyramids were well known to have traps and shit in them. So if you break into them, you get trapped in there. You know, pit of snakes, beetles that eat you, all this fun stuff, right? Somehow this pyramid has a self-destruct mechanism. So if
Okay.
you knock over these giant blocks, they slide down this ramp that then busts through the columns that are holding the pyramid up. Then jump, like when they finish breaking through all those wooden pillars, they fly off into big stone pillars and knock the inside down as well. So then it collapses on itself, hopefully killing everybody in it.
Jeez.
Yeah. So what you're trying to tell me is this dude taught you how to, because at the end of Days of Future Past, is that the one I saw? Yeah, Days of Future Past, you see an apocalypse and he's building,
Yes.
with his powers, he's building a pyramid. So I assume he built this pyramid. But somehow he built this pyramid with the ability to actually make it collapse on itself with these big stone pieces.
Because that would make sense.
Because that's what I would do to my pyramid, that I'm going to build to be able to transfer my body to another mutant to absorb another power and another younger body.
Yep.
Anyways, so that collapses, killing his 4 horsemen and burying him underground, but he's somehow being protected by this one last 4 horsemen before she gets her back broke and then crushed. Again, I don't know what her power was, but she made this like cocoon of invincibility float around him, and then like this. Oh, anyways, he gets released by accident by Rose Byron's character, who is Moira McTaggart, who I totally forgot was in those movies. But her mind's been erased, so she doesn't know anything about mutants really. And she's a CIA agent, not a scientist in Dublin, whose brother is, Banshee, who, by the way, no idea where he's at now. Not in this movie at all. So she is investigating something in, I'm gonna guess it's Morocco, because Storm is there at the same time as a street punk who has a mohawk, conveniently, flowing black hair that later gets turned white when Apocalypse does a little touchy magic to her. Makes her powers more powerful or whatever, but when he dies, by the way, it doesn't go away. It's Permy. So she sees him, and he gets released by accident because the sun, they're covering this hole up she follows him into. She knocks the guy out. It's supposed to cover it back up. The sun just conveniently goes right down the hole, and it hits this pyramid head that then lights up, and somehow it wakes him up. Again, I don't know. It's super fucking confusing why this is the whole thing. He then gets out, learns English from touching a TV and learning history, because the internet doesn't exist yet, apparently. Everybody is aged and moved on except for Quicksilver, who still lives in his mother's basement playing video games. Yeah, and this is a fucking nightmare. And he's one of the worst things about this movie. He is just bullshit. Like, he's punching Apocalypse, no problem. Just zooming around, punching him, and then gets caught because his foot gets caught in material. Those are warm. Because one of the abilities that Apocalypse does have is the ability to manipulate matter.
Yes.
So throughout this whole thing, it's somehow he manipulates just stuff that's kind of like sand. So Morocco is sand buildings and shit, so he makes a guy get stuck in it. He gets Cyclops stuck in one, but doesn't kill him. He conveniently has his arms and his hands and his face out, because you can just see him shoot laser beams out of his face. Don't cover that up. But he grabs Quicksilver's foot, and then obviously can't run, and he can't get out of that apparently. And it's looks goopy, but it's supposed to be solid. Doesn't matter. He comes over and just kicks his knee and breaks his knee, which was awesome. I was like, that's what you fucking get. And then, so that's when the big battle's happening, and the whole thing with Psylocke. If you don't know who Psylocke is a psychic. She can form these psychic blades, which are shown as purple beams that come off her hand that come off her arm and make like a sword, basically, right? Like this. For some reason, she makes one and it's like 14 feet long.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool.
Impractical, but okay.
And it's only one size. Even after he juices her up and gives her a fancy outfit, which is basically just a bathing suit with doomy boots on.
Mm-hmm.
She has a katana, and then she has this long laser sword thing that she uses on a car, and then turns it into a whip or a lasso, whatever I call it. So the whip thing, or the sword thing, cuts through a car that's flying at her, no problem. Spins in the air, cuts right through it, blah, blah, blah. But when she makes the whip, instead of just, like, she whips it at Beast, which is still one of the worst design characters, hits him, and it's like a whip, right? I'm like, yo, you just had a sword that cut through a car, but your whip just whips him.
Mm-hmm.
And then wraps the whip around his throat and chokes him. I'm like, bitch, make that cut his head off.
Right.
You just cut through a car.
Yeah.
Make the whip cut his head off. That is one less person you have to worry about.
It would make more sense.
Nope, not gonna do it.
All right. Well,
So fucking stupid.
sounds shitty. I actually do kind of want to watch it now to see how bad it is.
Did you ever watch Days of Future Past?
That was the first one, right?
Second one.
That was the second one. No, I didn't.
It was
the
First
one?
Class?
First Class is the one
Which
I
is
watched.
terrible.
I didn't watch Days of Future Past. I watched what was it, the 14 minutes that they showed of the Sentinels attacking
Oh, Jesus Christ.
We're not going to get into it. We don't have time.
They're in this movie!
Okay.
They fight him in the danger room. Like,
Okay.
It's...
We don't have time.
it makes me so mad.
We don't have time.
The bottle's possessed.
Because apparently we could definitely do this.
Yeah, I could do this for another 4 hours.
For another 4 hours, all day long.
Easily. Fucking this thing, man.
Yeah.
It was. We'll just stop there for news.
Yeah, we'll stop
But
there.
Logan though,
Logan
was dope.
is dope, and I'm so glad they did so much to make that nothing to do with these other movies. Like, it's just, it's a different world. And
Yeah.
the fact that, like, it's just, it's closed in, blah blah. I don't know. It's just they're fucking is a goddamn nightmare.
Yeah.
The whole fucking thing is a nightmare. If you like those movies, I'm sorry that you're stupid. But it's your opinion. You can like what you like. But
Okay, guys. Cody liked Howard the Duck, so
I liked Howard the Duck.
boom. See, go fuck yourself. Stallone shares video from Escape Plan 2 Hades
That's what I
set.
was talking about.
So it's called Escape Plan 2 Hades.
Well, he called it Hades, and then in quotations he said Escape Plan 2.
This says Escape Plan 2 : Hades.
In his Instagram post, it was vice versa.
Fair enough. Oh, Jesse Metcalf's in it. Means nothing to anybody. I don't know why I got so excited that Jesse Metcalf's in it. I just knew that name. That's all I got. Anybody else? Anything?
Nope.
There's cookies. So that's it for this week's episode of Comes Naturally. We are
Joe.
Mike.
I am Cody, and as usual, you fuckers just came naturally.
Stay dry.
Gross.